we still faithful. I'ma put it all on the table. We forever faithful. Yeah, we still faithful.
I didn't get a chance this past Friday to talk about the Niners signing veteran cornerback Jack Jones. Now, for those of you that watch the channel, you'll remember last offseason, I openly suggested the Niners go after Jack Jones. And he is a 28-year-old veteran corner who was drafted in the 4th round of the 2022 NFL draft by the New England Patriots. Very talented player. We will get into the pros and the cons of the 5'11", 175-pound corner here shortly. But he's had, his off-the-field concerns. And even so, I've talked about him on this channel as a player I wanted the Niners to potentially go after. I'm not scared of players that may be a little rough around the edges, and I've said it on this channel multiple times. I think the 49ers have found themselves a little leery or a little scared of going out there and sniffing around on anybody with any sort of off-the-field, problems or a past, if you will. And Jack Jones, though, is a very talented player. He's not a perfect player by any means, and we will talk about it, but he's a playmaker, and he's fun as hell to watch. And the Niners bringing in Jack Jones, to me, signals, I think the Niners bringing in Jack Jones could change everything for the 49ers, but we will get to that a little bit later. Let me just roll through some info on Jack Jones, talk about the player that he is, and then I will definitely let you guys know why I think this could be potentially like a culture shifting, regime shifting sort of acquisition by the 49ers. And I truly feel that way, and I'll explain. But he's 28 years old, 5'11", about 175 pounds, like I mentioned, came out in the 2022 NFL draft and was selected by the Patriots in the 4th round. He had an outstanding rookie year that seemingly had him on a trajectory to become potentially like a number 1 corner in the league. He really showed some immediate promise and high upside potential, just a ball hawk, a playmaker, definitely excels better in zone coverage as opposed to man, but he's not scared to go out there and man up on somebody and, give him the business. Jack Jones, scared is not in Jack Jones' vocabulary. He is not that kind of guy. He is up to any kind of challenge, and he plays that way, and he'll tell you about it when he's playing you. In his 4 seasons in the NFL, he's got 8 interceptions, with 4 of them resulting in pick sixes. That is unheard of. That is just complete and total playmaking ability from a guy who isn't the biggest, isn't the fastest, but what he is an aggressive corner who likes to jump routes, make plays, and be around the football all the time. And like I mentioned, he's better in zone as opposed to man, and we know that the 49ers historically have played a ton more zone compared to man, but we will see how Raheem Morris wants to deploy the back end of the 49ers defense in his first season as defensive coordinator. But in 2025 with the Miami Dolphins, Jack Jones started all 17 games and racked up a career-high 77 tackles, 1 interception, had 6 passes defensed, and forced 2 fumbles. So he's around the football all the time, and that has been the hallmark of Jack Jones in his brief 4-year NFL career. The 2 seasons prior with the Las Vegas Raiders, in 2024, he had a career-high 3 interceptions, including a pick 6, and in 2023 had 2 interceptions, both of them having been returned for touchdowns. A lot of you guys will remember that Christmas Day game between the Raiders and Chiefs when Jack Jones had the pick 6 on Patrick Mahomes. That was him. He's a playmaker. I kind of compare him somewhat to Asante Samuel, and I'm not talking about Asante Samuel Jr., the corner that played with the Chargers and he's now with the Steelers. I'm talking about his dad, Asante Samuel, who played with the Patriots and the Philadelphia Eagles, and I believe the Atlanta Falcons, if I'm not mistaken, in the early 2000s. He reminds me of him. Wants to gamble, wants to jump routes, is always trying to bait receivers and set them up so that he can jump the routes, read the routes, and run the route for the receiver, cut them off, and snatch the football away. He reminds me of that kind of a player. Very, very aggressive in his willingness to make plays. But the thing that makes Jack Jones such an electric playmaker has also made him or caused him some problems. Over the past 2 seasons, Jack Jones has been credited with surrendering 18 total touchdowns. Yes, that is a gaudy number. Yes, that is an ugly number. I didn't go back and watch every single one of those touchdowns that he gave up, but what I can tell you is I would imagine being on a team like the Miami Dolphins last year, who traded away a ton of their defensive talent midway through the season, did not help Jack Jones on the back end when it came to giving him a supporting cast with a pass rush up front. So I would imagine that Jack Jones, some of his issues were as a result of not having a ton of a pass rush. I mean, he played with the Raiders before that, and the Raiders have not been known for having the stingiest defense in the world the last couple of years. So I would imagine some of those touchdowns that he gave up had a lot to do with a lack of a pass rush and a lack of adequate safety help behind him. But I'm not going to tell you, I'm not making excuses for Jack Jones. He is an aggressive corner who will bite on routes, bite on double moves, and he gets beat, and it looks bad when it happens. But as long as he's a player who can, intercept some passes and take them back to the house, you can kind of live with a little bit of that. You definitely can. And with Jack Jones, he's not coming into the 49ers to be a starter, even though that's what he's been his entire 4-year career. He's coming into the 49ers to be potentially their 4th or 5th best cornerback. And that to me is really, really, intriguing and encouraging, because the Niners are insulating their secondary with guys like Jack Jones, guys like Nate Hobbs. By the way, both of them were teammates with the Las Vegas Raiders, so there's that. But the secondary is a lot deeper than it was last year. And even though the Niners are telling you they're not trading Renardo Green and Raheem Morris wants to work with him, yada, 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 if it gets to a point where maybe Renardo's not picking up the new scheme, or they just really decide they're not happy with Renardo and they want to ship him out or release him, whatever the case may be, the Niners have set themselves up to where they have some adequate depth behind him with guys like Nate Hobbs and Jack Jones. And the thing I really like about Jack Jones, and you can also apply this to Nate Hobbs, is that they are scrappy, aggressive. They have a swagger to them. They will jaw and talk to their opponents, and they bring that edge on defense that the 49ers were lacking last year. And so I'm just really, really encouraged, not only by the moves that they made bringing in Jack Jones and Nate Hobbs, but the way the Niners have approached this entire offseason has been a home run to me. They have solidified themselves with depth, on the offensive line, in the secondary, at linebacker. I really like what the Niners are doing, and bringing in Jack Jones to me is just kind of a cherry on top potentially, because he's not going to be asked to start more than likely. And having a guy who's played as many games as he has and been the kind of playmaker that he has been, having him be your 4th or 5th best corner just makes your floor that much higher and your ceiling that much higher as a unit. And with the 49ers, they're wanting to compete in the NFC in a serious way in 2026, and making moves like bringing in Jack Jones, bringing in Nate Hobbs tells me they're really trying to go for this thing in 2026. But with all that said, I've talked about the good and a little bit of the bad on the field with Jack Jones. I do have to bring up and mention some of the off-field stuff that has had people pause and had people have a little bit of concern for the 28-year-old veteran corner. While playing at USC in 2018, Jack Jones was arrested for breaking into a Panda Express. He was a college kid at the time doing something dumb. Not the only college kid who's ever done something stupid, but he later pled guilty to misdemeanor, second-degree commercial burglary. So there's that, a little bit of a run-in with the law in his college days. And then after being drafted by the Patriots in 2022, he had that standout year, his rookie season in 2022. But then in June 2023, Jack Jones was arrested at Logan Airport for trying to bring 2 guns with him in his possession and on his luggage, whatever the case may be, onto the plane. He was arrested for that, but the charges were later dropped in exchange for pretrial probation and community service. So he hasn't been a saint off the field, but I will say, since that incident in 2023, he hasn't gotten into any more legal trouble that I am aware of off of the field. However, following that arrest at Logan Airport, he went into the 2023 season with the Patriots, and his sort of troubles kind of carried over from there. He was suspended early in the year after missing some injury rehab sessions and was benched because of that. Or actually, no, he was benched for missing a team curfew. And we know how the Patriots are about the rules and all that kind of stuff. And he was benched for missing a team curfew. There's also talk that he was a bit of a malcontent on the sidelines and in the locker room because of the reduction in playing time and all that. So eventually the Patriots released him in November of 2023, and he went on to play for the Raiders. Now, at the time, Raiders head coach was Antonio Pierce, who also happened to be Jack Jones' high school coach. And he, by all accounts, was fine with the Raiders and with Antonio Pierce. But after they fired Pierce and brought in Pete Carroll, the new regime decided to move on from Jack Jones, and he went to the Dolphins for the 2025 season. And so here we are. Jack Jones is a 49er. He has had his ups and downs in his career, and it's kind of been like either side of the spectrum. Like his highs are really, really high, and his lows are really, really low. And I think that's why he's still in the league. That's why he's still getting chances. And that's why he is on his fourth team in 5 seasons, because at the end of the day, he does have that top end ability, that playmaking ability that is rare to find, and his knack for, dislodging the football or taking the football away from the opposing team is valuable to NFL defenses. And I want to talk about now why I really think that the Niners bringing in Jack Jones changes everything for the 49ers. And I truly feel that way. So just hear me out. We're going to talk about this. The Niners, ever since the Reuben Foster debacle, have stayed away from basically any player with any sort of character concern. So much so that it's almost been like to the Niners' detriment, where they've passed on talented players because they jaywalked one time. I'm exaggerating, but you catch my point. And the Niners have stayed away from guys with any sort of character concerns, but they are now taking a chance on a player of Jack Jones' caliber with a checkered past, and having a guy like that as your 4th or 5th best corner does nothing but help your team. He has started a ton of games in this league. He has picked off a lot of passes in this league and returned them for a lot of touchdowns. He has playmaking ability that this team has been searching for years. They have not had a true ball hawk in quite a long time. And I know some Niner fans will remember that at the end of the 2024 season and carrying it over to the 2025 season, the 49ers set an NFL record with 14 consecutive games without an interception. And that record was broken in late October of 2025 by Diamador Lenore. I believe it was week 7 against the Houston Texans. But you see what Raheem Morris is coming in here to do. He's trying to bring in guys who can make plays. Checkered past be damned. Jack Jones is a playmaker. He is a guy who can create turnovers. And Raheem Morris wants guys who can do that. No, there's no more room for, excuses. Like, he hasn't been in trouble in 3 years. Give him a chance. If it doesn't work out, no big deal. Low risk, high reward with Jack Jones. But at the end of the day, the Niners, to me, it really seems like they are turning over a new leaf, and it's showing a bit of a philosophy change. They're going to give, some guys a chance when they otherwise might not have done so. And it also, to me, signals a major philosophy change when it comes to just defensively. They have traditionally relied on their secondary to play a ton of, zone coverage, let the front four get after it, and have the corners kind of, rally to the football. They don't really want their guys taking a ton of risks, taking a ton of gambles. Just let, the play come to you as a player in the secondary, be in the right spot and rally to the football, right? Well, bringing in Jack Jones, he's a gambler, man. He's a riverboat gambler. He is an aggressive player, a player the Niners have not really had on defense in a long time. And to me, it is the perfect example of a boom or bust player with the Niners, and the Niners believing that they are in a spot where they can take a flyer on a guy like that because they are really trying to just give themselves the best chance to win games in 2026. And so I really think bringing in Jack Jones kind of signals a bit of a culture change in San Francisco. And again, like I mentioned, Jack Jones, to me, he brings another, piece to the puzzle that the Niners were lacking last year due to all the injuries and players that were out, being that he is a trash talker. He's got some swag to him. He will make a play and let you know about it. And the Niners have brought in a few guys like that this offseason. Nate Hobbs is the same way. He's a very physical, feisty, fiery corner who will come up and hit you and talk the talk. And you bring in Dre Greenlaw back into the mix, the return of Fred Warner. This defense is going to be barking this upcoming season, and they're going to be trying to make plays. And I like what I'm seeing so far from the early returns of new defensive coordinator Raheem Morris and the kind of guys that he is bringing in to the 49ers defensive side of the football. I'm excited, guys. I really think that bringing in Jack Jones, it just tells me that things are different now. And it tells me that the 49ers, I'm not going to say they're like all in, because all in would mean that they're, they go out and get Myles Garrett. But they are serious about making a run in 2026, and they are serious about changing some of the issues that have plagued this team in the past. They want guys who can make plays, and they want this defense to get its bark back, and they want some dogs on defense, and I am perfectly okay with that. So there we have it. Glad I was able to finally get that Jack Jones reaction out of the way. Let's see what you guys are saying here in the chat. Jay Tan says 49ers attitude adjust. Yeah, I'm with it. I'm with it, man. Big Brick 84. I feel like Jack Jones and Demo will bring the best out of each other. They both have that chip on their shoulders and will be dogs in the secondary. Absolutely. And you got to know Jack Jones is going to be up towards the front of the line with the boombox. That's going to be part of it too. A lot of that swagger, man. I'm here for it. Let's see what else you guys are saying and your reaction to the Jack Jones signing. Joel Figueroa, he says Jack Jones has playmaking abilities, and he's that ball and has that ball hawk instinct in him that can make plays for us, and we need from him the most. Sorry, it's a little small, the font. A little bit difficult for me to read sometimes. Big Brick 84 says Aldon Smith is the player that made them start second-guessing players with off-field issues. Well, that was the Harbaugh era. I'm talking about the Shanahan era, because early in the Shanahan era, they took a chance on Reuben Foster and it blew up in their face. And ever since Reuben Foster, they've really just done their homework, done their due diligence, and really tried to avoid players with any kind of off-field issues. 415 Key says Jack Jones equals Devondre Campbell. I hope not. Nah, I don't think that's the case. By all accounts, he's a very good teammate. You have to imagine he came in here knowing that he's a backup. Whereas Devondre Campbell, when he came to the 49ers, he was told, yeah, you're going to start for us. But then when Dre Greenlaw comes back, you're going to go to the bench. He was probably thinking, you know what? I'm going to come in. I'm going to start. I'm going to make plays and kind of reinvigorate my career. Dre Greenlaw's coming off a torn Achilles. There's no way that they play him over me, right? And then when Dre Greenlaw came back, they benched Devondre Campbell and all hell broke loose. The Jack Jones situation is different to me because he's coming in already knowing the score, knowing he's going to be a backup. And so, I would think that that is probably part of the equation as well. And then you have to also remember, like I said, Nate Hobbs and Jack Jones were teammates with the Raiders. So I'm sure Nate Hobbs had a lot to do with the recruitment of bringing in Jack Jones. At least I would think so. I would hope so. Let's see what else you guys are saying. Danny says Jack needs to grow up. 26 years old, definitely needs to grow up. He's 28 and he hasn't been in trouble in 3 years. So, people mature. People mature. Joel Figueroa. Jack Jones will bring us a whole new different element on defense and make interceptions for us and keep us in ball games to win them. That's the thing, man. He can make game-changing, game-winning plays. And I've been a fan of Jack Jones since his rookie year with the Patriots. I am ecstatic that they signed Jack Jones. Some of you will remember I said it. I said it last year. I'm not worried about guys that have, a bit of a checkered past, a little rough around the edges. This team needs some more swagger to them. They need a little more toughness. They need some more dogs on this team. And Jack Jones is one of them ones. So I'm very excited that Jack Jones is a San Francisco 49er.